Okay, so today's project, I decided to go ahead and do that necklace to go with this beautiful bracelet and earrings that I did the last two videos. So what we're going to need are a little bit of all the components we've already used. So obviously you're going to need some AccuFlex beading wire, medium 49 strands, some chain of any kind, and I would suggest to use, if you have any left over, the chain that you use for your earrings. That's what I'm going to do, okay? And then I'm using these rectangular cut, Czechoslovakian cut, opaque light blue table cut beads right here. Same as I used for these two projects right here. Same ones. You'll need a clasp, and on this one I'm using a copper tone lobster claw. You're going to need some of these little daisy spacers. These are an 8mm. You'll need some bead caps, and this is copper, 5mm copper. And then your crimp and crimp cover. Okay. I think we're ready to go. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the pattern that I followed in the bracelet. And so let's get started. Okay, so the centerpiece right here, just the very middle part of it, is going to be the same pattern as this right here. This necklace is not going to be any more than a 16 to 17 inch. So the blue concentration will be right smack dab in the front because you're going to finish off with chain. So let's get that middle piece done first. All right, so we're going to put on our, I forgot, you have to have two 6mm finishing beads. Sorry. All right, so we got a bead there. And remember, we flanked on the bracelet, you had the finishing bead, and then we flanked it with that little bead cap, the next piece. All right, and then we have the blue bead. Then you're going to have another bead cap, the silver daisy spacer, and another bead cap. And those bead caps, remember, they are flanking the daisy spacer, which is a different thing. We usually flank the bead, the actual bead that we're highlighting. But this time, we're going to cut a little bit of that shine right there with that coppery color in there. So it'll keep the light from being overbearing because you don't want to lose the little rose gold colored finish that's on there. All right, let's do a few more. Boy, this is so exciting. This was not something I intended. But as I got to working on it, I thought, oh my gosh, earrings would be great with this because these beads are so beautiful, such a beautiful shade of blue. And I thought, wow, you know, these are just stunning. And then I thought, oh my gosh, bracelet. Oh my gosh, earrings. Oh snap, I gotta do a necklace now. So the project grew and grew. Oh my gosh, hope you guys don't mind. I don't normally do a set like this, you know, in a row for videos, but it just evolved. Oh my goodness. So we're going to get a good smattering of concentration of blue in the front because that will be the focal on it. And then we'll add the chain at the end. Get on there, get on there. Boy, it feels good to be hitting on all cylinders after having COVID for a week or more. Probably a good solid week. But I had to push through that thing. I thought, my gosh, I feel like I'm wasting away. So I got up one night. My husband had gone to church, and I got up. And I said, you know what? I'm going to push through this sucker. So I got my little medicine ball, workout ball. It's about this big, about a 3-pounder. And I started working my arms, you know, over and over. I was like, I got to get some strength back. This is crazy. And then I thought, all right, let me get the vacuum cleaner out. So I got the vacuum cleaner out and I vacuumed the whole house. And believe it or not, after that, I felt like a totally different person. It's like I snapped back into reality. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I don't know if I just got the blood flowing and my lungs moving enough that it kicked its booty on out. So anyway, yeah, so yeah, I'm hitting on all cylinders. And the next 2 days, I worked out in the yard like a crazy person. So anyway, it's probably more information than you wanted to know. Well, that's part of being part of this community. Sometimes you get stuff you don't want to know. Okay, so look at that. We're matching the bracelet. This is going to be stunning on somebody's neck. Oh my. Let me do just a few more of these. And I'll get back with you. Okay, so I've got this part beaded. This is the very front and center. And I went ahead and I added my 2 finishing beads because what we're going to do with this piece right here is finish it off just like it was a normal necklace. So we'll do the crimp here and the crimp cover here, except we're not putting a clasp on right there. We're just doing the crimp and crimp cover on each end right here. And then we're going to make sure that we have enough that we can finish a 16 to 17 inch necklace. So what I'm doing here is I'm starting at the bottom. I'm measuring right here. 8 would be a, is doubled is going to be 16. My train of thought just left my body. Anyway, so 8 right here at the bottom, and I'm going to measure up to here. And that much chain would be needed in order to make a 16-inch necklace. So I'm looking at this and I'm going to count my links here and I'm going to cut the chain accordingly. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 large links. Now, if you're using a different kind of chain, you'll have to measure out and count your links, or you can measure it like this too. I've done this before, where I've taken the chain, especially if it's a little tiny, like a little small chain like this, and I'm trying to get them for earrings, and I'm trying to get them the same length, and you got these little tiny links in here, and they're a pain to try to count. So what I would do is cut the first one to fit the length that I want, then hang that chain back on here again with the one you just cut, and then measure the next one down, and you'll cut it, take that one off, put the chain back on, measure down, and cut. That way, they're all going to be exactly the same length, give or take 1 link. And you'll be able to see that. If you're holding them all up like this on a pin or something, you'll be able to see if they're all the same length or not. Easy trick to do. But with a bigger chain like this, you don't have that issue. You just count out how many there are and then take it off at that point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 is, there's my link right there. So I'm going to add that little small one in there too, just for good measure. Find that edge. Take that one off, close that one back up. Make sure it's closed good because you're going to be adding it back onto the necklace. All right, so there's that one. You double check it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. All right, I'm going to count out 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to take that little top one. Take that off, set my chain over to the side, get it out of the way. Make sure that is closed up good and tight. All right, double check. Okay, here we go. Here's an example. So let me get my little thing here. Okay, so we're going to stick that chain on there like that. We're going to stick that chain on there like that. And if they're the same exact length, you know, you got the same amount of links on there. You don't have to sit and count each one. But this is what I was saying a minute ago. If you have a tiny, tiny, tiny chain, use a pin, stick that chain on there if it'll fit. Clip the first one where you want it, and then add the next one on, measure it down, and then clip it. And that way you shouldn't have to count every little tiny solitary link if your chain is tiny. Okay? All right, next stage. Okay, next step. Getting close to the end. I did one side to expedite the time, just so you could see where we were going with it. And you can see right here, I have my finishing bead. This is my crimp and crimp cover, and I attached it to the chain that I just cut. So here we go. I'm gonna do this, get our crimp, put it on there. Grab your chain, connect the chain to it. It's like doing a clasp, except you're not doing a clasp, you're just connecting the chain. And so you're going to bring it down. Now with this one, you know how I always tell you to leave some space at the top on the necklaces so that the clasp can breathe? You're going to do the same thing with the chain, but not quite as much. You want it just a little more snug, but it still has to be able to move. So just a tiny, tiny bit right there. All right, let's close that thing off. All right, and then we're going to run just a little bit of the excess back through the first couple of beads, and that's it. Nothing major. The hardest part of this is getting it through that first little crimp cover, because it's a little hard to see. Just have to keep maneuvering it with your finger. It'll come out eventually. Come on, baby. Get in there. Oops, there it is. All right. Pull that one through, and then I'm going to run it through the crimp cover right there. Thank heavens for magnifying glasses. All right, there it is. Okay, there's that one. And we'll run it through this very first bead right there. You know, and just take your time doing this. Don't get frustrated with it, because it is what it is. Okay. All right. Got it. And I'm going to clip off right next to that bead, the excess. Take your crimp cover. Cover that wire there. Make sure, again, that this center piece, that crimp, is all the way down into that cover. Otherwise, if you don't, it will clip your wire. So you want to make sure it's down in there. Close this up very slowly, not too fast. You don't want it to go whoppy jaw on you. Oops, turn, baby, turn. There it is. All right, run your finger across it, make sure it's smooth. All right, so here's where we are. Yes, last thing. All right, we're going to put on this beautiful lobster claw clasp. And let me pull my chain out here, make sure I get that one little bitty one right there. And then what I did with this, because normally, you know, your jump ring comes with the clasp. And this clasp happened to have, you know, those little itty bitty tiny things right here where you connect the necklace here, and then this goes into the clasp. Most people that I know, I don't care if they're young or old, it doesn't matter. They have trouble with these things. So what I decided to do is I decided to add just a little 5 to 6 millimeter jump ring to it, so it'll make it easier for them to get this into that. Okay. All right, so our last thing here, I'm going to open up the little tiny jump ring that's on the end right there. Going to open it just barely. Take one end of your clasp, whichever one you're putting on first, doesn't matter. Slide that on there and close this up very gently and make sure that it is tight at the top. There it is. You don't want any gaps. Okay, there's one. Last one. Y'all, this is so exciting. This was just such a fun project. Simple, but one thing just kept leading to another. I wound up with a set, which I don't normally do on videos. I usually do one thing or the other, and if I do a set, I don't ever film it. So, you know, I thought, okay, this is crazy. Let's just do this because it was just so much fun. All right, I'm making sure that's closed up good. All right, we are done. And look at this, guys. Of course, you know, I'm doing this once a week. But, you know, you guys can have this done, all of this done, you know, in one day or less, depending on how long you've been doing stuff. You know, if you're new at it, it may take you a minute to get your hands working, and that's okay. But nonetheless, you can get all this done in no time. And look at this beautiful matching set. Got to love it. So I hope you got some inspiration from this. Remember, this video and this video are prior to this one, if you missed it. So anyway, please remember to like and subscribe. I love you guys. It's so good to have fun with y'all. You guys have a blessed week. Bye.